with this Superman: The Ultimate Guide. I like these encyclopedia-like collections because though I've read a lot of the stories and I kind of feel like I know the Man of Steel inside and out. Of course, there's always some tidbits of information that these kind of books share with everyone, and we kind of see them and say, "Oh, yeah, I didn't realize that," or it reminds us of the stories we loved in the past. So this one is by DK. This is Superman: The Ultimate Guide. This is the updated new edition. So this is pretty much up to date with current Superman lore. Love this classic scene of Clark Kent changing into Superman and then flying off. Yeah. I mean, it's just classic stuff. And there's another classic example of Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster's original design for Superman. Notice the triangle, which is different with the S, stylized S there. So it's interesting to see the evolution of Superman's costume. Of course, a wonderful drawing, I believe by Kurt Swan, who is also a legendary Superman artist. So what is this all about? Well, as you can see here, it covers everything from Superman's origins to his powers to all his villains, as well as, the Golden Age, the Bronze Age, the Dark Age, and the Modern Age, including Superman saying, such as, "I'm here to help out and make things better any way I can. I'm here to stay." And certainly the Man of Steel is here to stay, no matter what. Even Doomsday couldn't take him out. There's a wonderful introduction, wonderful art piece here, and a wonderful introduction by Joshua Williamson on what Superman means to him. And I think that's really great to see. Just love the fact that, Superman, he says, Superman teaches us to believe in ourselves, to look up, and to always strive for a better tomorrow. And I think that's really amazing. And it's really true that Superman does give us that hope, right? It sounds corny and cheesy, but, hey, it just resonates emotionally. And of course, there's Superman in his rocket ship as a baby. This is by Andy Kubert. Fantastic piece there. And we move on to Superman, introducing Superman by one of the authors, Matthew K. Manning, talking about Superman and the relevancy to the real world. And finally, we get up into the actual origins with, about Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Now, I really love this book because it goes through Action Comics Volume 1, kind of recaps the story of Superman. And look at this amazing artwork here. Just love those stories. Certainly, Superman speaks, and these are just the different kind of sayings that Superman has throughout the years. And, it's cool to see these. You have no idea what it means to be Superman. It's not about where you were born or what powers you have or what you wear on your chest. It's about what you do. It's about action. And that's from Infinite Crisis number 7. So there's some really cool sayings here. I worry because everyone seems to look up to me and it's making me a little uncomfortable. I can try, but I can't solve every problem. I don't know if I can live up to this, the myth they want me to be. And just so these, Superman's a hero who can often do more good with his words than with his fists. Though he might doubt himself in private moments, Superman is a source of inspiration for millions. And certainly he is. And I love all these sayings that, throughout the years. Here's one from 1972. "For years, I've been playing Big Brother to the human race. Have I been wrong? Are they depending on me too much, too often?" And it's just really all I know. And this is from Superman number 701. "All I know is that we have to try. That's what life is. We try. We push back against the darkness just a little. And don't we need a little bit of hope in our lives? I think everyone does, don't they? And that's what this is all about, right? That's what we love these characters." Here's another nice piece of artwork. And this is talking about the suit and the suit design, the classic suit design. No matter how much they mess with it or how much they do with this, this is the kind of classic look, right, that Superman has. They change it around for the movies and the comics, the new 52 Superman, but he always seems to go back to that classic look. And here's the style evolution, which I love about this book. The style evolution going in from Superman's early costumes. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Superman's early costumes going forward. There's that right after the death of Superman, the black costume, when he did this weird electric Superman or energy Superman suit. The new 52, of course, after the War of Worlds or so on, with the change in the emblem. And again, going through all the different years, the different costumes. But it's also a nice recap of everything from Superman's origins all the way through to, the current suit, right? Here's the one where Superman, the Authority by Grant Morrison, that one shot, and then later on adopted for Warworld by Philip Kennedy Johnson, right? And there's a question there, how do you get this? You can get this for any bookstore. They've got it, and they got tons of places online, of course, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. They all have this book. So If you're a fan of Superman, this is perfect. Kind of goes over all the details. And I really love that about this book. And here we've got superpowers, right? Superman's superpowers and what powers he has from super these new 52 super flare, which they haven't revisited. That was, of course, created by Jeff Johns, that new power to super speed, X-ray vision, invulnerability, body being a solar battery, heat vision, combat. Here's one that we don't often think about when we think about Superman, that he's a combat master, right? Superman's trained with some of the world's greatest warriors, and this helps him to use his skills with precision and avoid unnecessary damage. Freeze breath, super strength. Let's see, how many of these do you think we've seen in the movies so far? I think there's a way to do that. How strong is Superman? So 10 feats of super strength he's done. And this goes on, including the weaknesses and all the different kinds of kind of kryptonite, right? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize, right? There's green kryptonite, red kryptonite, blue kryptonite, black kryptonite, white kryptonite, jewel kryptonite, gold kryptonite, which of course is the famous one that removes the powers of any Kryptonian, magic kryptonite, yellow kryptonite, and platinum kryptonite. So there are all these different kryptonites, which are cool. And of course, some of them have weird effects, such on Superman, as we've seen in the past. We see he can't see through lead with his X-ray vision, and so on. So lots of different discussions on Superman and the different, love the artwork, which is, like, for me, the main thing. All the lovely, the beautiful artwork throughout this book. And again, a lot of people who are fans of Superman, probably this is stuff that you know for the most part, but there's some pieces of information which I was just surprised to see. And it's interesting how they take the Man of Steel by John Byrne, they kind of mix it in with Birthright and all the different, and Jeff Johns, of course, Secret Origin, kind of mixing it all in to kind of create a cohesive whole origin story for Superman. Of course, the destruction of Krypton, and of course, the classic ship carrying Kal-El heading its way to Earth. The Kents, of course, focusing on the Kents, even having the little family history, which was in that miniseries from 3 decades ago. Worth checking out if you get a chance to read that. Even though there's no Superman, it is the history of the Kents. And a map of Smallville for those map enthusiasts who love maps. So that's pretty cool. And the Fortress of Solitude and so on. So, did you realize there's so many different Fortress of Solitudes from the classic during the 70s? And then we've got the 80s look inspired by the Richard Donner Superman films. And we've kind of stuck with that through the years. Metropolis, of course. And, the Daily Planet. And so you go through here, and of course, Clark Kent, his alter ego of Clark Kent, or his real identity, right? As people say, he is Clark Kent, just happens to be Superman and Kal-El. And, he goes into details of why he wears what he wears and the kind of suits that he wears, so which is pretty cool. Lois Lane, of course, the love of Superman's life, but also the reporter, a strong reporter and a woman herself, who just, when Lois gets on the case, she doesn't let go, it doesn't stop, and it's cool to see. And Superman love at all the different characters that all often, for some strange reason, their names start with or have a double L, right? Lois Lane, Lana Lang, Lila Lero, Luma Lanai, Lori Lamaris. I mean, it just goes on, which is pretty funny. And of course, all the way through the near misses, and of course the New 52 Superman in relation with Wonder Woman. And then it does mention that the New 52 Superman died, so that the Superman that we're following now is, of course, the original Kal-El. But, when you get into continuity too much, it gets a little confusing. Such as, originally there was Earth 1 and Earth 2. Earth 2 were the Golden Age heroes. They kind of, the original Superman from the 30s went to Earth 2, and the modern Superman was on Earth 1. But now it's just a bit of a mess. So less said, the better. Of course, there's Superboy, Connor Kent, of course. Coming in after the reign of Superman. And then, they do mention the New 52 Superboy seems to be forgotten. Don't know what happened to him. So here are the different super boys, or Superman, Supergirl. There's, John Kent, who's Superman's son. And, of course, Connor Kent, Superboy, the clone of Lex Luthor and Superman. And the story of Supergirl and so on. So if you're looking for something that's fairly comprehensive, then you're in the right place. This is what you're looking for. And it goes on to his friends and so on. The Justice Society of America, the Legion of Superheroes, Super Friends. And so I just highly recommend this. And I just want, of course, the villain, Lex Luthor. And Superman has, of course, some of the best villains, which we've barely seen sometimes in movies or TV shows, like Lex Luthor, Brainiac, Darkseid, General Zod, Doomsday, Bizarro, Mongol, Metallo, Parasite, and Cyborg Superman. So let's leave off here. There are other enemies as well, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick preview of this. And we'll continue again in another live with the rest of the book. But this is Superman, the Ultimate Guide. This is part 1 of my overview and just some comments and things that came to my mind to capture it. But hope you guys enjoyed this, and see you next time on Heroes Trek. Have a great day or evening or night, wherever you are in the world. And we will see you too. Until then, keep being a hero, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.